Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Lollipop and today is an amazing day because we have one of the brand new 2022 Trek Roscoes right here with me. This one is the Roscoe 8. Now for those of you that don't know, these bikes have been heavily updated for 2022 and I've made a whole video on that in the past, so you can check that out if you want a lot of details on these bikes. But for now, I just want to show you this killer bike in person because, I mean, wow, it looks amazing. So in this video, I'm going to be weighing the bike in this medium-large size, and also I'm going to be test riding it at the end of the video and then giving my final overall thoughts on it, and basically kind of like an initial review of the bike. Now, like I said, this is the Roscoe 8, and there are 4 bikes in this lineup, going from the Roscoe 6 to the 7 to the 8, and finally the 9. So this bike is one of the higher end models and it currently retails for around $2,330 US. And you can actually come check this bike out right now at Trek Bicycle in Sacramento, California. This one, like I said before, is in the size medium large. And in terms of what this bike is intended for, it is a proper trail hardtail for 2022, which I am very, very excited about. And this bike, in my opinion, just looks like a hardtail Trek Fuel EX model. If you just take a look at the normal bike frame, you can tell that it definitely resembles that Fuel EX frame a little bit. So if you are wondering about some of those technical frame geometry details, I'll throw them up on the screen right now so you can see just how updated this bike is now as compared to last year. Last year's frame was pretty outdated at this point. It was basically a cross-country frame, and now they've fully updated it. Now let's go over some of the main specs on this bike so I can show you what I mean. This bike is so cool. I'm going to try and show you some nice shots of it so you can really appreciate this color scheme. The name of this color is Mulsanne Blue, and it has these silver touches here and there, like on the main Trek logo here on the down tube, as well as on the top tube for the Roscoe logo right there. Kind of this like brushed silver look, which I really like. And you can even see it peeking out through the chainstay back here underneath this rubberized chainstay protector, which is going to keep this bike quiet and prevent some chain damage. And actually, on that note, I'll mention some key details about this frame right now. There is an additional rubberized down tube protector right here to prevent any rocks or something like that from chipping your bike's paint down there. So some other key details: this frame is an alpha gold aluminum frame. You can see that right there. And basically what that means is that it's going to be fairly lightweight, very strong as well, and have some really smoothed out welds. Trek does their welds pretty well, so as you can see, pretty smooth. Definitely a nice looking frame that's going to hold up to trail mountain biking for sure. It of course has a tapered head tube at the front here for stronger suspension forks. And another cool feature for 2022 is that this bike does now have ISCG mounts for a chain guide and a bash guard. So if you are riding pretty hard, you can prevent the chain from falling off your bike or just getting smashed. This bike of course does have Boost 110 spacing in the front. And finally, we have the Roscoe frame with Boost 148 spacing in the rear. It used to be that this bike had Boost 141 spacing, which was a pretty unique spacing figure, I'll say, for lack of better words. But Boost 148 is definitely the standard for mountain bikes these days. Trek's official weight of this bike in a size medium is 29.86 pounds. I weighed it on a Park Tool scale at Trek Bicycle Sacramento, and this medium large size, so it is a little bit bigger, came in at around 30.14 pounds. So just a little bit more, but it is a bigger size, so that kind of makes sense. And for some of the main components on this bike, let's talk about the suspension first, since that is a big change for 2022 as well. This is the RockShox 35 Gold RL. It has 35 millimeter upper stanchions right there and 140 millimeters of suspension travel. So typically the Roscoes have only come with 120. Now they've gone to 140 for this year. So definitely a more trail-ready hardtail. The Fuel EX bikes actually come with 140 millimeters of travel in their front suspension forks. So it's really nice to see that this trail hardtail is kind of following in the footsteps of the Fuel EX, but just a hardtail version. And this suspension fork is fairly nice as well. It does have the RockShox motion control damper, as well as the Debon air spring for better efficiency and just a better damping experience as well. I will note quickly here that you can put a 150 millimeter suspension fork on this bike. Trek does say that that is the max suspension travel, so you can go ahead and add even more travel to this bike if you wish. And now we can quickly discuss the wheels as well. So the rims are pretty generic aluminum rims from Bontrager, which is Trek's in-house brand. They are the Line Comp 30 rims, nothing too special. They're fairly lightweight and durable and all that. But what is really nice though are the tires. These are the XR4 team issue tires from Bontrager as well. But what's really nice is that they are 29 by 2.6 inches wide. Pretty much the same tires that are also on the Fuelie X nowadays as well. Very wide, aggressive tire. These XR4 tires are really nice. Bontrager makes these pretty well in my opinion. A lot of my coworkers agree that these XR4 tires are pretty good. And another plus for this bike is that it is fully tubeless setup from the store, so no inner tubes here. But now let's talk about the brakes. So you can see the brake levers up here. Nothing too special. These look pretty similar to what you see on even some of the Trek Marlins, like the Trek Marlin 7 and 8, which are, you know, $1,000 less than this bike, even more than that. So that's not my favorite aspect of this bike, to be completely honest, but the calipers do make up for it a little bit because they are 4-piston hydraulic disc brake calipers. So a lot of good stopping power. They have 180 millimeter rotors in the rear, so that is great to see. That's going to give you good stopping power on the trail. The real key detail is up front. Same brake caliper, of course, the Shimano MT420 calipers there, but you have a 203 millimeter front rotor on this bike, which is just crazy. I'm not going to touch it to get any oils on my finger on it, but you can just see, like, compared to my hand, that is an insanely large rotor. All right, but now let's talk about this drivetrain for 2022. This is basically mainly a SRAM NX Eagle 1x12 drivetrain. It does have the SRAM NX Eagle shifter up here, which is definitely better than the SX Eagle, but I would definitely prefer the GX or something a little bit higher end than this NX shifter right here. That being said, this shifter does still have the ability to shift up to 5 gears at a time when going to an easier gear for pedaling. But getting to the actual drivetrain down here, we start off with a SRAM X1 Eagle 30-tooth crankset, which is pretty nice. Aluminum, definitely looks really nice. Kind of reminds me of the GX Eagle crank. And then we have a normal NX Eagle chain, which brings us back to the NX Eagle 10 to 50 tooth cassette, which is a wide range. It's not the highest end, lightest weight cassette, but it is better than the SX. It's lighter weight than that. But what really is nice is the derailleur. So right here you can see we have the SRAM GX Eagle rear derailleur. This one is very durable, constructed really well, shifts really reliably, smoothly, and I think it's one of the best derailleurs on the market right now. I really like this one, and the look of it is really nice too. Less of a gray, but more of like a almost navy blue type of color. It kind of matches the front crankset. And now we can start talking about some of the extra stuff on this bike. For example, the dropper post. This one is a Trans X dropper post. Nothing too special. Does have 150 millimeters of travel in this medium large size. The medium frame size bike comes with 130 millimeters of travel, and all the smaller sizes come with 100 millimeters. But this one is 150 millimeters, which is great to see on this bike. That's a good amount of dropper post travel for this frame size. And then we also have a 50 millimeter long stem, which is maybe a little bit on the long side, but pretty generic Bontrager alloy stem there. And then we have a 780 millimeter wide Bontrager alloy handlebar for this frame size. Definitely a great width in my opinion. I guess in terms of upgrades on this bike, getting some carbon wheels would be pretty cool. Maybe a higher end handlebar with a 35 millimeter clamp, because this one is a 31.8 millimeter diameter handlebars, so not as strong. But overall, I do like the spec on this bike, and if you've stayed this long into the video, I will quickly mention that I have actually ordered a Roscoe. I'm not going to say which one, but that will be coming hopefully soon on the channel, and then I'll actually be able to ride it and give some good reviews on it. But now it's finally time to go out and give this bike a test ride, give my initial thoughts on it. All right, test riding. Whew. The 2022 Trek Roscoe 8 in the size medium large. Oh my god, I'm so excited for this. This bike seems pretty big actually. I have a medium large Trek Marlin, and this definitely seems bigger than that, and I'm sure the wheelbase is a lot longer. Oh, this bike is fun. I can tell just from being on it for a little bit that this is a fun bike. Like, it just wants to be thrown around. I am so excited. This is like really fun and playful. It's fairly fast on the road for what it is. Obviously you're gonna kind of mess up these tires a bit if you ride it on the road too much, but I'm only gonna be riding it on the road for this test ride because it is for sale right now. I don't want to get it all messed up and ride it on a trail or something. But when I do get my own Roscoe eventually, I'll be sure to take it on trails. Whew. This bike really wants to jump too. That's pretty nice. Let me take it down something. Oh wow, this is feeling pretty stable. Try to see how fast I can go. I'll quickly also mention here that I'm around 5'7", 5'8" in height. This is a medium large size, so it does fit me. I usually ride a medium for trail bikes like this because it'll feel a little bit more nimble and stuff like that, but this one's not bad. Definitely really like these wide handlebars on the bike as well. And these tires are amazing. I love the 2.6 inch wide XR4s on here. Yeah, I'm really happy with this one. I almost want to take it home. Now I did want to test out these brakes, so let's see if I can. Yeah, they're fairly good. It definitely does feel similar to the Fuel EX. Seems a little bit lower. I think this top tube angles down a little bit more. I would love to take this out on a trail right now. That'd be super, super fun. Heck, I really like this bike right now. Man, I cannot wait to get my own. Wow. Okay, so for my final thoughts on this bike, I think it's amazing. It's fun to ride so far, and the specs on it are great for a trail mountain bike. I think it's a great update from last year's model and definitely a huge step in the right direction. However, now that this bike is much better, it also has to compete with some other trail hardtails out there, like the Nuke-Proof Scout or the Commensol Meta HT, which is usually priced better since the Commensol is a direct-to-consumer brand where you buy the bike online. But Trek is definitely catching up now, and considering the bike shop experience and how many Trek dealers there are for ease of access and the overall feel of the bike, it's pretty good. The first thing I'd upgrade on this bike would probably be the shifter or the brake lever, so they are more high-end and nice to use. But besides that, this bike is pretty sick out of the box, and I'd recommend it for sure, especially if you like jumping, because this bike just seemed to want to jump off of everything. So with that, thank you all for watching, and remember to keep biking.